I'm Tori.
And I'm Audrey.
And we're two sisters diving into the darker side of human nature and exploring the unknown.
From chilling true crime and gruesome murders
to spine-tingling paranormal encounters, we cover it all.
So grab a flashlight.
And maybe a blanket.
Because you're listening to The Guilty and the Ghostly.
Welcome back, y'all. We're very excited to be on episode number 3.
We're on number 3 already.
Awesome. I feel like we've been doing pretty good, keeping up with the episodes and everything.
If you hear barking in the background, that's our old man dog.
Oh my gosh.
So we're on episode 3. Well, how was your week?
It's actually been a pretty good week. So I went to work today, made a lot of money. It was great.
Awesome. It's been busy for us. We've got cheer tryouts, softball, baseball, normal stuff. Jackson got his cast off today.
Ooh.
Hey!
So he's locked and loaded and ready for the season?
Yeah, he can go swimming now. He's good to go. Everything looked healed. He's got a brace for 3 weeks, but after that, he should be completely back to normal.
It's like perfect timing because summer's about to begin.
I know. I'm so ready to go to the lake. The girls laid out in tan this weekend, and they got like some sun, and now I'm jealous. I'm ready to go be at the lake.
We need to fix your jet ski so we can all go to the lake.
Josh is actually tearing it down this weekend and getting it back going.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So it'll be time. I'll be ready. I'll be ready.
Are you going to graduation?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
All right. So let's go ahead and get to the story.
Okay.
You know nothing about this story. I have not told her a thing.
I have no idea what it's about, who it's about, where it's at, nowhere.
So it's very sinister.
Ooh.
The last 2 episodes we've done have been in Texas. Right. This one, we are going to Massachusetts.
Ooh.
In 1986. 16-year-old Tina Bowen lived with her father and older sister, Kathy Bowen. They had recently lost their mother to cancer just a few short months ago. Due to the death of his wife, Tina and Kathy's father, Frank, worked a lot to try and help ends meet. So the mother died, dad's working, he's working double shifts, he's always gone. So the girls are always at the house by themselves. So there was mom and dad, and then Kathy and Tina, the 2 sisters.
Right.
Mom passed away. That leaves the 2 teenage sisters together, home alone.
One of them 16. How old is the other one?
I don't know. It didn't say. She's older, though. She is older. She's
right.
a year or 2 older than the 16-year-old.
Okay.
So, due to the death of his wife, Tina and Kathy's father, Frank, worked a lot to try to help ends meet. It left the girls home alone a lot. They were having a really hard time coming to terms with the death of their mother. Tina suggested to her younger sister, hey, we should try to communicate with Mom through a Ouija board.
Oh my gosh.
So Tina and Kathy were surprised when they started getting rhythmic knocking through the walls when they were asking the Ouija board questions. So they were asking Mom questions with this Ouija board, and there was knocking on the walls. Like, it seemed to answer the questions they were asking. So, Yes. The girls were elated when they seemed to be contacting their mother from the grave. Very quickly, though, things started escalating. Furniture seeming to be in different locations than it was when they left the room. TV channels would switch on their own. Drinks would be gone when they left the room. They would leave the cup on the counter, and it'd be a full cup. And they would leave the room, and they'd come back, and the cup is still there, but the drink is gone. There's no drink in the cup.
Okay, so that's creepy.
Very creepy. And you would probably, the first couple of times that would happen, you probably think you're nuts. Like, no, I just drank that. Like, because I do that sometimes. I'll drink my cup and then I'll go get another drink and be mad because there's nothing left. Yeah. Or like my last bite of chocolate. And then I'm like, wait, no, I have another piece left. I don't have any left.
Like the Mandela effect. Like, I know there was one in there.
Yeah. But they thought it was just their mother trying to make contact. So I'm sure they were just excited to get that confirmation. Mom's still here.
Too.
Yes, and home alone all the time because dad's working his butt off trying to make ends meet for his kids, right. Always gone. And so they were just excited that they may have made contact with their mother. But soon, things escalated even more and became more sinister.
Oh.
Suddenly, the girls would find threatening messages written in mayo and ketchup on the basement walls, saying things like, "Will you marry me? I'm in your room. I'm still here."
What?
So you'd walk into your basement.
With mustard and ketchup?
Mustard, ketchup, shaving cream, just basically items that were left around the house.
Oh.
It would be written on the walls, on their
gosh.
desk and stuff.
And they didn't think, like, for a second that it was maybe one or the other?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
They told their dad about it, but he kind of just wrote it off and thought the girls were just struggling with the sudden passing of their mother. Or maybe one of the girls was just playing a prank on the other one and they were just acting out, trying to get dad to come home. So he's thinking, they're missing me, all this trauma is happening, they're just acting out, and this is their way of seeking attention. He did put them in therapy for a little while, thinking, because of the trauma and everything that's going on, let me put him in therapy to see if this helps him. And things did quiet down a little bit for a while, but then it started happening again. Until one day in 1987, so about 6 months later, so about 6 months after the initial Ouija board incident, Frank and the girls and one of their friends returned home. So Dad and the girls and one of their friends went out for the night. They went to go enjoy the night together, but they come home. They enter the house to find furniture all over the place in disarray. The toilet had been recently used by somebody. All the radios and TVs were turned on with this sound absolutely blasting, which that would be scary to come home, you thinking it's, just your normal home and everything just being super loud. And all of that sound has got to be so stimulating when you first walk into your house.
Yeah.
There was also another message, this time written on Tina's bedroom wall, which is the 16-year-old. Tina's picture was stuck on the wall with a knife. 2 glasses of wine were on the table next to an open bottle of wine, but the glasses had not been touched. They have not been drunk out of. So the glasses are full of wine, but there's no, they're full.
Yeah.
Frank knew the girls could not have done it this time since they had been with him outside the house.
Exactly.
So he starts thinking something's going on. So he's like, okay, the girls didn't do this, something's going on. He began searching the house. While he was searching the house, he went into his late wife's closet. And to his surprise, he found a teenage boy hiding in the closet with his face painted, hair spiked up, holding a hatchet in one hand and a wrench in the other.
The heck?
So, researching this story, I found a lot of lore, and because that is the stuff of nightmares. You walk into your house, someone's in there, and some said, oh, he was dressed as a Native American. Some of the stories said he was dressed in the wife's old wedding gown. But I actually found one interview with I believe it was the sheriff at the time, and he said no, he was dressed in clothes, but he had his face painted like a dark color. You couldn't really make out any features, and his hair was all spiked up, but he wasn't wearing any costume or anything like that.
Yeah.
So they find the boy in the closet holding a wrench in one hand and a hatchet in the other.
So that's terrifying.
Terrifying. So this whole time you're thinking there's a ghost or my teenage daughters are acting out for attention, and then they find this boy in their house. The teen instructed the family to go into a bedroom. Frank kept himself between the teen and the girls and was able to get them into a bathroom and then wedge the door shut so that the teenager couldn't get to the girls, and they're all freaking out. They're like, what do we do? Where do we go? What's the next step? Well, Tina, she was completely upset and she freaked out. So she's like, I'm going to go through the window and escape. But the dad's like, no, please don't leave. He's worried that the boy will see and then go attack her in the yard. But she's like, screw it. And she jumps out the window and her dad's watching her jump. So she escapes out the window and she runs next door and has the next door neighbors call the cops. Because again, we're back in 1986, so there's no cell phones. You can't just whip out your cell phone and call the cops. You have to get somewhere. By the time the police arrived, the teen was nowhere to be seen. It's almost like he vanished. He's gone. The family decided to stay somewhere else since the teen couldn't be located. But I also seen that actually the house was already on the market. They were already trying to sell it with the trauma of everything and the girls acting out. Dad thought maybe we should move and just start over. So either the house was already on the market and they just stayed somewhere else, or because of this incident, they weren't staying at the house. A couple of days later, Frank had to go back to the house to get a few things they needed. And there, in the window, stood the teen. So teen's still in the house. Guy's still there.
What?
So he hurries and calls the police again to let them know the intruder's back. He's written on the wall. It said, I'm still here, come find me. And at this point, Frank is worried the police think he's nuts because they showed up before and he's nowhere to be found. They can't find him anywhere. The only evidence that somebody might have been there is the back door was open, just ajar, and there was a wrench and a hatchet sitting there. But it was his wrench and hatchet that was sitting there, so it could have been. He just felt like, he felt like the police thought he was nuts. So he was freaking out and was like, nope, I've seen him again. He's here again. I don't know what to do. The note's on there that says I'm still here, come find me. So the police finally arrive and they start searching the house. They're looking all over the house, looking for this teenager. And they found the teen in the basement. He'd been hiding within a cramped triangle wall cavity in the basement of the house. And it was very obvious that he's been living there a while. So I'm going to show you a picture of where he was living.
You're lying.
No.
How long?
That's my very next sentence. But let me show you that it's just an illustration. There wasn't actually any pictures, and we'll post these. There wasn't any pictures. So there's the toilet of the basement, and there's a small little triangular area that he was staying in, 4 feet by 4 feet. That's how big it was, and he was staying in it. And they just so happened to find it. The sheriff said that they realized that there should have been more wall there, but there was like a false wall, and so they pushed on it, and it was able to open up. There was food in there, trash, and a huge pile of clothes. Well, this time they still don't know he's in there. There's just this huge pile of clothes. So he lifts up a shirt, and there's that boy under the clothes, hiding under the pile of clothes in this little spot. Yes.
Okay, that's scary.
Yeah, so scary.
I'm freaked out.
And to think that somebody's been in there during all your intimate moments, like behind your closed door, you think you're by yourself, and he's been in there that whole time watching you and your sister. And they've been home by themselves this entire time, and he's just been in there watching.
Exactly.
It's crazy. Come to find out, he'd been living there at the family's home for about the last 6 months to a year, unbeknownst to the Bowens.
What?
6 months to a year.
How did he get in? Does he know them?
So who was he? I'm ignoring your question. So who was it? Daniel LaPlante, I'm not sure. I'm going to call him Daniel. He was born on May 15th in 1970 in Townsend, Massachusetts. He allegedly suffered traumatic sexual and psychological abuse during his childhood at the hands of his father, which is awful. That's really sad. You can feel bad for the child that had to suffer this.
Exactly.
Due to the abuse, his mom sent him to start seeing a therapist or psychologist. And that psychologist started to sexually abuse Daniel during their sessions.
Oh my
which
gosh.
Again is awful. You can feel bad for the child that went through that. He grew up to be a piece of shit, but you can still feel bad for what that child went through.
That's horrible.
Yes. And especially since that's supposed to be his safe place. He's supposed to be there to be getting help from that trauma, and then he's just reintroduced to it all over again.
Yeah.
Growing up, Daniel's environment was chaotic. His family property was reportedly filled with junk and old cars. He was described by other students and faculty as the loner, not particularly friendly, and kind of like the smelly kid of the class. Everybody has that smelly kid in class. Everybody does.
Yeah.
He was the smelly kid. By the 1980s, a neighbor had grown concerned over Daniel's trips in the woods behind his home. One neighbor said, "You'd see him walk up there by himself. That's the only place you would see him is in the woods." Daniel was diagnosed with hyperactivity disorder by the same psychiatrist who was allegedly sexually abusing him. He became a neighborhood thief by 15. He would break into the homes during the evenings and would steal their valuables. And he would also, but he wouldn't just go and burglarize the house. He would go in there and steal things, but then just to mess with people, he would leave things in the house or move stuff around so that they would know somebody was in there just to mess with them.
My my gosh.
He then graduated to mind games and started tormenting the Bowens, the family we just talked about. One day, Tina received a phone call from Daniel, who was the same age as her. He supposedly got Tina's number from a mutual friend, and they lived in the same neighborhood as the Bowens. It was never confirmed, though, exactly how he got her number. He said he got it from a mutual friend, but some of them are actually wondering if he had already broke into their house and got the number that way, maybe. It was never really confirmed how he got this girl's number.
Yeah.
With the death of Tina's mother, she found a friend in Daniel, and they soon formed a really close friendship, speaking just over the phone. She was mourning the death of her mother. Having the newfound friend was helping her with the grief and processing everything.
Right.
And then soon Daniel asked Tina, like, let's go on a date. There was a local fair in town, so she's like, he said, let's go on a date. She said, sounds great. Well, once meeting Daniel for the first time, she was shocked by his rough appearance. He did not look like what he had told her. So he had told her he was this great big jock with blonde hair, super athletic, super popular, like Ken doll status is what she was expecting.
What did she get? Did she get catfished?
Well, she shows up and he's very unkempt. His hair's greasy. Again, he's just kind of smelly. He just obviously doesn't take pride in his appearance. He just looked really rough. And
Yikes.
Homegirl could have been like, you catfished me, I'm out. I'm not going on this date.
Yeah.
You've done lied to me. But she was really sweet, and she said, you know what? I'm going to give this date a chance. Let's just see what happens. We had a good connection on the phone. Maybe, just maybe, we can get past this, or maybe he's a fixer-upper. Like, let me fix you up, hun. Well, as the date went on, all that Daniel kept asking about was her dead mother. How did she die? Was she there when she died? What did her eyes look like when she died?
What the?
Yeah.
What?
And so
Okay.
with the constant questioning, it really put her off. It made Tina's like super uncomfortable. So she said, you know what? Screw this date. Let's hurry through it. And I want to go home. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. So they hurried through the date. She goes to school the next day. She talks to some of the people at school, and they're like, oh no, we know who that is. He's creepy. He's actually facing charges for burglary. He's known to be creepy and unkempt. And she felt like she dodged a bullet. Like, thank God, went on that one day. I'm done. It's over. I don't have to see him again.
Right.
But then he breaks into their home, and they try to make contact with their mother with the Ouija board, and he was there when they did it. And so then that's why he started knocking on the walls, answering their questions, moving stuff around, and it just kept escalating. So Daniel said at first he simply just wanted to watch Tina. But then when he saw her sister and her trying to contact their mother using the board, he's like, I'm going to begin impersonating this ghost. And it escalated. And then he got pleasure, basically, out of tormenting this family for almost a year. Among the messages on the wall and everything else they had experienced, they also came home to find a bathtub filled with urine.
Ew.
Pennies were scattered all over the floor. Just stuff that they couldn't explain away. It was just weird.
That's nasty.
Disgusting. So after his arrest at the Bowen home, Daniel was sent to a juvenile detention center. But he was there for less than a year. In October 1987, his mother actually remortgaged her house and was able to pay his bail, which was $10,000.
Oh my!
$10,000.
Why?
After tormenting this poor family for almost a year, he's already been known to break into houses. They set his bail at $10,000. She pays it. He gets out. 2 months later, he would commit his worst crime yet. It's not over, girl.
What?
It's not over. So here is your trigger warning.
Okay.
For
let me get a drink. Hit up Sonic, not sponsored.
Oh. This water is the best freaking water. What's your Sonic order?
My Sonic order is, depending on the day, I either do a raspberry sweet tea or I'll do a dirty Fanta.
My two go-tos are a strawberry mango lemonade or what I've got now, which is ice water, add lemons, strawberry, peach, and raspberry. It's like summer in a cup. It is
know,
so good.
It's really good. I've been drinking this the whole time. I think I'm prepared.
No, you're not prepared. Here's your trigger warning for child murder and rape.
What?
It gets bad. While awaiting trial, Daniel moved home and started a burglary spree in the local area. During this time, he stole 2 guns from one of the homes. His stepfather found one of them and had asked Daniel about it. And Daniel was just saying, I got it from a friend, not a big deal. While not knowing about the other gun that he had, which was a .22, his stepfather just took his word for it. He didn't search the house, didn't search his room. He literally just took him at his word and took the one gun from him. Okay. So he still has the .22.
Okay. And that's very dangerous because we know he's a dangerous, sketchy fella.
He's a sketchy fella. And what's crazy is these people, time and time again, they escalate. So they're starting with these quote-unquote minor crimes, and they just start escalating. And he's already started escalating because he started with just stealing stuff. Well, that wasn't enough, so he started stealing stuff and would mess with these people's homes just to let them know that he was there, just play mind games. Well, then that wasn't enough, so he moved into these people's houses without them knowing for 6 months, 8 or a year, and now we're here. So on November 16th, 1987, Daniel targeted the home of the Gustafson family. The family of 4 included pregnant nursery school teacher Priscilla Gustafson, 33, her husband Andrew, and their 2 children, William, who's 5, Abigail, who's 7. So he broke in, that was in November. He took the number plate off their house and took it back with him to go home. Almost like a trophy, I guess. I'm not sure. But they find it later on.
That's creepy.
About a month later, on December 1st, Daniel went back to the Gustafson home with the .22 firearm that he had. The then 17-year-old claimed he hadn't expected anybody to be home, but he encountered Priscilla and led her to the bedroom and tied her to the bed. But what I'm going to say is, why did he take the gun with him if he didn't think anybody was going to be there?
Exactly. Seems to me like he was
planning.
Yeah, he was plotting it out.
Yes. He then locked 5-year-old William in a closet. He then returned to the bedroom and raped and beat Priscilla. He then put a pillow over her head to muffle the sound and shot her twice in the head.
No.
He then took 5-year-old William to the bathroom and he drowned him in the bathtub.
And he's 17 while doing this?
17 years old.
What the hell?
17 years old. And mom and son are there just carrying out their normal day, and he breaks in and does this.
And mind you, the mom is pregnant.
Yeah.
Does it say how far along she was?
No, it didn't say how far along she was.
Oh, God, that's awful.
He then pours himself a beer, but it was untouched, just like the glasses of wine at the Bowens. So again, he pours himself a beer in a glass, but there's nothing drank out of it. It's just sitting there. Abigail had been at school and returned home while this monster was still there. He then took Abigail into another bathroom and drowned her as well. Yeah, it's rough. Andrew returned home.
Andrew didn't even know any of this was happening. He was just at work.
It's heart-wrenching. We actually have a statement from Andrew. It is heart-wrenching.
Oh my gosh.
So Andrew returned home from work. After calling a few times that day and his calls going unanswered, he had a bad feeling when he got home. He seen his wife's car in the driveway. When he wasn't welcomed at the door and the entire house was completely silent, he just knew something was wrong. Which makes sense because, I mean, even with my kids being teenagers and 9, if Josh or I come home, there's commotion, there's noise. Yeah. You know, they may not be little kids running up super excited, but there's at least noise and commotion going on. He walks into the house and it is completely silent.
That's creepy. That has to be eerie and just like...
This is what Andrew had to say. Andrew stated, "I was too afraid of going to look for my children because I was afraid I'd find them dead. It was so shocking and unbelievable. I screamed, I wailed. So, after committing this heinous act, Daniel left the scene and returned home. That was only about a half a mile behind the Gustafson's home. So behind the Gustafson's home, there was like a wooded area, and right past that wooded area was Daniel's home.
And he still lived with his parents at this time.
Yes.
He's 17, and his mom just bailed him out.
Yes.
I think she should be held accountable for some of this stuff, too.
And don't let me forget to tell you, I think there's also something else weird that the parents did that we'll talk about.
Okay.
The police began to suspect Daniel due to the similarities of what he had done at the Bowens. They found Daniel at the library and they questioned him. He denied everything. Wasn't there. He said, I was at home watching MTV all day. He had gone to his niece's birthday party later on that day as well. So police go back to the house and were able to find a wet shirt and glove that they suspected Daniel had used during the gruesome murders of the family in the woods behind their home. At this point, Daniel knew the police were onto him, so he went on the run. The police department ended up issuing an APB for him. So not only did he just do this to this family and take 4 lives, because you got mom, who's pregnant, and then the 2 babies, after he left there, he literally went straight to his niece's birthday party with his family. Like nothing happened.
Like, what is wrong with him?
I
know he had a very horrible upbringing, but
to do this?
Yeah.
So he went on the run. Ended up issuing an APB for him. Daniel then broke into other homes, stealing another gun, and then knocked on the door and pointed a gun at a young man. And the young man said, nope, and shut the door in his face. Then the young man went and called and alerted the police and said, hey.
I could just see that happening.
Nope.
Sorry.
Gone. So Daniel then went and broke into another home where he found a woman.
Oh, gosh.
He held her at gunpoint and made her drive him around while he was holding her at gunpoint. While they were going down the road, this badass woman was slowing down for a stop sign and just jumped out of the vehicle and was able to get away and call the police to let them know what just happened to her.
Period, queen.
Get it, girl.
I wouldn't have thought about that. I probably would have, wrecked into a tree.
Yeah, it's gotta be terrifying, too, to think, okay, what if I don't get out fast enough and he grabs me? Or what if he shoots me when I jump out of here? But she's just...
The adrenaline was just pumping.
She's gone. The police then located the van and attempted to pull him over. Daniel escaped yet again, and this time ran to a lumber yard where the police were able to corner him, and finally they were able to arrest him.
What the heck? What is going on? The police are...
And how did he dodge so many times? Just like the first time when they searched for him and they didn't find that little cubby hole he was staying in, he was gone. Then the second time, they finally found him like a little creepy rat hiding underneath clothes.
Isn't it where if you suspect it's somebody, you can pull them in for questioning?
Yes, which they were. They did. Because remember, they went to the library and questioned him. And he's like, nope, I was at the MTV. Because they wanted to catch him by surprise. That's why they didn't bring him in. Okay. They knew he was at the library. They questioned him at the library. They went back to his house, which I didn't include this. They went back to his house to question him there. And his mom was like, nope, he was here this whole time. He said he was watching MTV. We had the birthday party. And then when they went to his house,
sketchy.
And there's more.
Oh my gosh.
And so I guess after they questioned at the house, he's like, they're on to me. I gotta go. And so he took off. And then they found those clothes in the woods. And he's like, okay, I really gotta go.
Yeah.
They asked where the gun was. He stated he threw it in the river. After searching him, they located the gun in the crotch of his pants.
Liar, liar,
pants on fire.
Boy, get out of here. Did he not think they were going to search him?
Yeah.
Like, what?
So they questioned him again, and he stood by his story that he was at home, he watched MTV, and attended the party.
Then why is he on the run?
Because he's a shady man. The prosecutors decided to try him as an adult. He pleaded not guilty to the murders. He was ultimately charged with 3 accounts of murder, 1 charge of kidnapping. Due to him constantly running and being able to get away, and because of what he just did, even being out on bail, they decided, let's not set a bail this time.
Oh.
Finally. Daniel was required to go under psychiatric evaluation. He was found competent to go to trial, but other than that, his results were never released. So you never got to see any of the results from that. I wonder if it's because he was still technically a minor, so they sealed those maybe.
Probably so.
But they never released anything other than he was able to stand trial.
Wow.
Jurors ended up going to the home of the murders where it had taken place. They were actually taken down the path that Daniel would have had to take back to his home. 50 witnesses were called over 12 days, and after only 3 hours of deliberating, they found him guilty.
Slay.
5 months later, the gun that was used was found in a vehicle at his house by his family, who had called and turned it in to the police. So this is the other thing that I was talking about. This is 5 months later. They supposedly just found the gun that was used to kill the family in a vehicle at their house. And then they waited a while before they even turned it in, which is shady. Daniel actually appealed for a reduced sentence in 2017, but the judge found that he was not remorseful for his crimes. The judge affirmed Daniel's sentence of 3 consecutive terms of life imprisonment.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's what he gets. Like, there's been a whole paper trail on him.
Completely. So I do have this little tidbit that I thought was really sweet, and I really wanted to include it.
Okay.
So Andrew Gustafson, the father of the kids and the woman that was murdered,
right,
he remarried a woman by the name of Carol from the family's church in the following years. So the church that they all attended together, this lady went to that church as well. So they already knew each other.
Right.
Carol had lost her husband of 15 years due to a brain tumor in 1984. Andrew said, "It certainly would have been much more difficult without her. I don't know whether I would have made it or not. Now I have a reason to get up in the mornings and something to live for." This is the part that's really sweet. The couple wore 2 wedding bands to honor their first spouses. Their new ones on their left hands and the original one on their rights.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Very sweet.
That's so cute.
And so that's the story of piece of crap Daniel LaPlante, however you want to pronounce it.
That's so horrible, but I'm happy they kind of had a happy ending.
Yeah, at least they were able to find out who did it, get justice. And again, you feel bad for him for what he went through as a child, but that does not give you the right to grow up and be a piece of shit. And it was just a prime example of escalating.
At the same time, it's like he had no idea who these families were. Why were you just breaking in? Well,
because
he knew about the first family, yeah, but after that, like, the woman
it's just
who was
out
pregnant,
of ease. Yeah.
It's just like you're just doing it for no reason. Why would you do that?
To torment these, even not including the Bowens and the Gustafson, just the other families, just breaking into their house and moving stuff just to mess with them.
Exactly.
Just to be a creep. It just doesn't make sense.
It's crazy, but and the kids, why did he have to do that?
Oh, I have.
That
you really want me to break your heart? I've got a picture of them.
Like,
they were the sweetest little babies. So this is
Mom. I'm really pissed off about this because he did not.
So that was the little boy, that was the little girl, and that was Mom.
Oh my gosh, no.
And that poor girl to just come home expecting a normal day. Mom and brother are there, and he took her to the bathroom and took her life. Like, are you freaking kidding me? But yeah, those are the babies.
Do you know if, like, she went into her parents' room?
No, it didn't say anything about that. Thank goodness. From what
makes my chest heavy.
Yes, and this is the piece of shit, creepy looking, greasy Greg looking Daniel LaPlante. That's him.
Ew.
You can see how greasy, and that's in court. So that's after being cleaned up, because you know they make you clean up for court. And even being cleaned up in court, he just looks shifty. His hair is greasy.
He has the serial killer eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Where the white's underneath the...
Yeah.
God.
But yeah, that was a really sad story, but I thought it was crazy with the beginning with thinking it was a ghost and to think it was their mother, and then all of that start happening. I could not imagine.
And I'm happy that family
escaped.
I looked to see, thinking about that, like, what if the girls were home alone one day and he just...
what if Dad didn't come home with the girls that day and he was hiding in the closet with a wrench and a hatchet? What were you planning on doing?
Exactly.
And then to be there when they come back to get their stuff and he's still freaking there.
It's like he was taunting them.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I hate that.
Yeah, it's definitely sinister. But yeah, that was the story of the boy in the wall. Like I said, there's a lot of lore and stuff that I found. It's a lot of misinformation, but it just has the make of a horror movie, and I think that's kind of why it escalated to what it did, because it is so freaking scary.
Yeah.
That it just has that vibe. It kind of reminds me of The Strangers. Have you ever watched The Strangers?
No.
Girl, that's a scary movie. Speaking of movies, did you see what's coming out in September?
No, what is it?
Practical Magic 2. Dead serious.
Wait,
Nicole Kidman and
date?
Sandra Bullock, September 18th, maybe?
Girl, we should go for my birthday.
Aaron and I already said we're going, so we're going to make it a girls' date. Like, we can go and...
Okay, period.
Yeah. I've never been so excited. Yes, girl. So that was this week's story.
Oh, do you want to tell them about what we're working on?
So we've got a little bit of information from a previous story. We had a wonderful couple that reached out to us and give us some more information that we're going to look into. So we're going to cover another case that might be connected to Lavender Doe. Never been convicted, but definitely a lot of theories that I'm excited to look into and see if there's anything connected and see where we can go from there. So,
and I'm working on my case for next week.
It's spooky next week. Well, no, there is some murder, but
it's more spooky.
I've been there.
I'm hoping to go out there.
Mom and I were talking about that.
Pictures.
Garrett said he may want to go too this weekend. Maybe we can do Saturday.
Yeah, maybe.
So that'll be fun.
We have something coming, so be prepared, be ready.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys being patient with us while we're figuring all of this out.
Yeah.
All the comments and shares and likes are helping. Make sure to like, share, follow on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, all of it. It helps us out so much. And we're already pretty pleased with the amount of listeners we had, but I know it can be more. So
yeah. And also, if y'all are thinking about a case that y'all want to shed light to, comment it anywhere. We can look into it,
Share it with us.
Yeah.
Find us on all the platforms and share.
Sometimes researching gets hard, and I just want somebody to be like, do this. So, y'all comment.
There's so many that you can choose from that you want all of them to be shared and you want to bring light to all of them, but it's hard to just pick
out of so many cases.
It just shows how many shitty people we got.
Yeah.
People be people in, man. All right.
The world can be so cold, but we'll see y'all next week.
Bye, guys. Thank you.